3 weeks ago, something happened that I'm still grappling with. For context, I'm 34, single, and have lived in the same town as my family my entire life. My father, Antonio, is 58, a construction worker, and the kind of man who believes he's always right. My brother, Ethan, is 31, married with 2 children, and works at the same company as Dad. My aunt, Carla, Dad's sister, is 52, childless, but always has something to say about everyone else's life choices. We have family dinners most Sundays, birthday gatherings, the usual family traditions. I've always known I'm different from them. They're all about the conventional path. Marry young, have kids, buy a house, stick with one job forever, me. I attended community college, work in IT support, rent a downtown apartment, and I'm not married or a parent. I assumed they just didn't get my lifestyle, but I thought that was typical family tension. 3 weeks ago, Dad asked me to help organize the garage for his birthday celebration. Mom wanted everything tidy before relatives arrived. I agreed, expecting a quick Saturday morning task. While I was sorting boxes, Dad stepped inside to take a call, not realizing I was still in the garage. That's when I overheard it. He was on speakerphone in the kitchen, the window open, his voice carrying clearly to where I stood. He was talking to Ethan, Carla, and my cousin Marcus, who lives nearby. I paused, something in Dad's tone catching my attention. Ethan mentioned I'd shown up early, and Dad gave a harsh chuckle. He said his useless son would never amount to anything, only good for grunt work like moving boxes. I stood frozen, clutching a box of holiday decorations. Carla added, "At least he still thinks we care to have him around," her voice dripping with a cruel edge I'd never noticed. Ethan laughed and said I came crawling for their affection like a stray. Every word stung, but I couldn't stop listening, needing to know how far this went. Dad lowered his voice and said he'd told everyone I was the family's lost cause, their ongoing punchline. Marcus, who I'd helped move twice last year, chimed in that I was 34 and still stuck doing menial tasks. They all laughed. My own cousin laughed. I forced a smile and kept arranging boxes, not looking up, not reacting. When Dad returned 20 minutes later, I finished up and told him the garage looked perfect. He clapped my shoulder and thanked me as if nothing had happened. But deep down, I wasn't surprised. I'd always sensed their disapproval. Growing up, family dinners were filled with remarks about when I'd settle down, get a real job, or stop being such a letdown. I'd learned to brush it off, crack jokes, or shift the conversation. I thought it was just standard family expectations. Hearing them call me their lost cause, their endless joke, crossed a boundary I didn't know existed. And knowing Marcus was part of it, that they'd been talking about me behind my back for who knows how long, plotting what to say at family gatherings, that made everything crystal clear. I went home that Saturday and spent the day reflecting. Not crying or venting to friends, just thinking about what I'd heard and what to do next. Because here's the thing, I'm doing all right. I earn a solid income in IT, have savings, my own place, my own life. For years, I've supported them financially and practically, thinking that's what families do. Dad's birthday party was the following Sunday. I showed up with a gift, helped set up tables, chatted with relatives, played with Ethan's kids, normal family stuff. But I was seeing everyone differently, listening to their words with new awareness. When Carla teased me about being the forever bachelor, I just smiled. When Ethan asked if I'd ever grow up and buy a house, I laughed it off. All the while, I was replaying what I'd heard in the garage. They think I'm desperate for their approval, showing up like a beggar for their scraps of affection. What they don't see is that I attended family events because I believed we cared about each other. I thought their critiques came from concern, not disdain. That night after the party, I made some choices, not out of anger or emotion, but practical decisions about how I want to spend my time and energy moving forward. If I'm their lost cause, their punchline, I'm done playing that role. Over the past 3 weeks, I've been forming a plan, taking my time with it. They expect me to keep showing up, helping out, being their dependable disappointment, always ready when they need something. They're comfortable with that setup. But I've realized something crucial. I don't need their validation anymore. I stopped needing it at some point without even realizing it. What I thought was family loyalty was just routine. And routines can change. The question now is how to move forward. Part of me wants to confront them, demand they explain what I heard. Another part thinks actions are louder than words. I could just be less available, let them wonder why I'm not around as much. But honestly, I'm done with both those options. I'm done with the whole charade. I'm 34 with my own life, and I don't need to waste energy on people who see me as a project to mock behind my back. The clarity is strange but liberating. For years, I thought I was the problem, that I needed to try harder to earn their respect. Now I see the issue wasn't my inadequacy. It was their refusal to see me as an equal. I was always their project, their disappointment, their warning tale. But I'm not their project anymore. I'm not their joke. And I'm definitely not going to keep showing up to be their punching bag just because we're related. Next week is Ethan's daughter's birthday party, and they expect me to arrive with a gift and help set up, as always. I'm leaning towards skipping it, not to make a statement or stir drama, but because I'd rather spend my Saturday doing something that brings me joy. The more I reflect, the more I realize how much of my life I've shaped around their expectations. Sunday dinners, birthday parties, helping with moves, or babysitting, all built on the idea that family comes first. But what have I gotten in return? Criticism masked as care, jokes at my expense, and apparently private discussions about what a failure I am when they think I can't hear. That's not family, that's just people exploiting the fact that I was raised to tolerate their behavior. I'm done tolerating it, not in a bitter, confrontational way, just done. Done pretending their opinions matter. Done arranging my life around their approval. Done being available whenever they need something while getting crumbs in return. They can keep their Sunday dinners and their family talks where they dissect my flaws. I have better ways to spend my time, like figuring out what I truly want from life, not what they think I should want. I'll update if anything noteworthy happens. Right now, I'm just processing how the family dynamics I thought I understood were completely different from reality. It's oddly freeing to realize I don't need their approval to be content. I just needed to stop chasing it. Update 1: Ethan's daughter's birthday party was yesterday, and things got more intriguing than I expected. I decided to test something by not attending, not to be spiteful, but to see how they'd react if I broke my usual pattern. I texted Ethan Saturday morning, saying I couldn't make it due to work commitments, and that I'd drop off a gift card for his daughter later in the week. Short, polite, no big explanation. My phone started blowing up around 2 p.m. First Ethan, then Carla, then Dad, all asking where I was, if I was okay, saying the party wasn't the same without me. Interesting choice of words, considering they'd called me their useless punchline just weeks ago. Ethan called that evening, asking if I was upset about something. I said no, just busy with work. He pressed, asking what I was working on, saying it was odd for me to miss a family event. When I calmly said work sometimes takes priority, he paused before saying that didn't sound like me. That's when it hit me. They're so used to me dropping everything for family that my absence felt wrong. Not because they missed me, but because I wasn't filling my expected role. The next day, Dad called, asking if someone had upset me, if I was struggling financially or with health issues, anything to explain why I'd skipped the party. It was fascinating that he couldn't fathom I might just have other priorities. I told him I was fine, just focusing on my own goals lately. He went silent, then said I shouldn't cut myself off from family, that family always comes first, that I needed their support. His tone made it clear he sees me as dependent on them, not someone who chooses to be around them. I said I appreciated his concern, but was managing fine on my own. He didn't know how to respond and said he'd call later before hanging up. Tuesday, Carla showed up at my apartment unannounced, saying she was worried about me, that I seemed off lately, that the whole family was concerned I was going through something. She kept probing about why I'd missed the party and what was wrong. When I said I was just reassessing my priorities, she got defensive, insisting family should be my top focus, that I'd regret pushing them away, that I needed to think about what truly matters. It felt like she was reciting a script about how family members are supposed to behave. What's telling is that none of them have asked if I overheard something or if someone said something to hurt me. They assume this is about me having a personal crisis, not about their actions. They can't imagine I might know how they truly feel about me. I'm starting to see they've crafted a narrative where I'm the family member who needs their guidance and support, who shows up because I rely on them. The idea that I'm choosing to step back because of their behavior doesn't fit their story. Yesterday, Ethan texted, asking if I'd come to Sunday dinner. I said I'd let him know. He replied that the family misses me and wants to ensure I'm okay. The family misses me after calling me useless and their endless joke. The thing is, I'm more than okay. I spent last weekend doing things I love instead of enduring another dinner where they poke fun at me while pretending it's concern. I worked on a coding project I'd been neglecting, went hiking Saturday morning, and caught up with work friends I hadn't seen in ages. It's refreshing to realize how much mental energy I was wasting on their expectations. Energy I can now use for myself, like figuring out what I want from life instead of what they think I should want. Wednesday evening, Ethan and Marcus showed up at my apartment, saying they wanted to discuss the family situation. Ethan said everyone was confused by my behavior, that they felt I was pulling away for no reason. Marcus noted I hadn't been replying to his texts like I used to. He's right. After hearing him laugh about me being 34 and stuck in a dead-end job, I stopped engaging, sending short replies instead of keeping the conversation going. They kept asking what they'd done wrong, why I was acting differently. The whole time, I'm thinking about how they were part of that call, talking about me like I was the family embarrassment they had to manage. I told them people grow and change, that I was focusing on new priorities. Ethan said it sounded like a phase and that family is permanent. Marcus said I shouldn't let whatever's bothering me damage my relationships with people who care about me. The conversation went in circles for over an hour. They wanted me to spell out what they'd done so they could fix it and things could go back to normal. But they weren't ready to confront how they treated me or consider what they'd said when they thought I wasn't listening. Finally, Ethan asked if someone in the family had said something to upset me. I looked at them and said maybe they should reflect on recent conversations and whether I might have overheard something I wasn't meant to. Marcus's expression shifted first, like he was trying to recall what they'd said. Ethan took longer, but I saw the realization hit him. Neither spoke for a moment. Ethan asked what I'd heard. I said I'd heard enough to know how they really feel about me, that I was their lost cause, their joke that never ends, useless and only good for manual labor. Marcus started saying I'd misunderstood, that they were just venting because they care about me. Ethan added they only talk about me because they want what's best. They insisted I was taking it out of context. But there's no context where calling someone useless is okay. No context where laughing about someone begging for affection is acceptable. They knew it too, because they couldn't meet my eyes while making excuses. I told them I appreciated the visit but needed time to think. They left looking uneasy, which was new. I'm usually the one feeling bad after family talks. This morning, Dad called, saying the family wanted a serious talk with me this weekend to clear the air about whatever's causing issues. It sounded like they were planning an intervention. I said I'd think about it. I'm curious what this talk will entail. Will they own up to their behavior or just try to convince me to accept their treatment again? Based on their reactions so far, I'm betting on the latter. I've been making other changes too. Ethan asked me to watch his kids this weekend, something I used to do without hesitation. I said I had plans. He asked what plans, like I needed to justify not being available. I've also been less active in the family group chat, not ignoring it, just not rushing to respond like before. It's striking how much this bothers them. Carla called to ask if my phone was broken because I hadn't replied to her message about Mom's upcoming birthday plans. I'm not trying to hurt them or make them worry. I'm just not putting their needs above mine anymore. And apparently that's such a shift they think something's seriously wrong with me. They keep asking what they did, but they're not ready for the answer. They want me to say it's nothing, that I was just having an off week, that things can return to how they were. They want to fix this by having me pretend I didn't hear what they think of me. But I can't unhear it, and I can't go back to acting like their criticism is love when I know it's contempt. I can't sit through another dinner where they mock my choices while thinking I'm too pathetic to notice. This weekend's talk should be telling. I'm ready for them to either acknowledge what they said and how it affected me or to double down and call me oversensitive. I'll update after I hear them out. Right now, I'm just processing how different everything feels when you stop seeking approval from people who have already decided you're not worth respecting. Update 2, the family intervention happened, and it was exactly what I expected, yet somehow worse. They had it all planned like a calculated ambush. Sunday afternoon, I arrived at Dad's house to find them waiting. Dad, Ethan, Carla, Marcus, and Mom, who mostly stayed silent in the corner. They'd clearly coordinated their approach, each with rehearsed lines. Dad opened by saying they were worried about me and wanted to understand what was wrong. He said families have rough patches, but communication is key, sounding caring and reasonable, except they were treating me like I was unraveling instead of reacting to their actions. Ethan said I'd been off for weeks, not engaging in family events, seeming upset. When I asked what made him think I was upset, he said I wasn't acting like my usual self was supposed to just absorb their jabs. Carla said she could tell something was bothering me, that keeping things inside wasn't healthy, that we could work through it as a family. Marcus nodded, saying he missed our usual chats. They spoke about me like I wasn't there, like I was a puzzle to solve, not a person with valid reasons for stepping back. Finally, Dad asked me to explain what was wrong so they could fix it. That's when I laid it all out. I told them what I'd overheard in the garage 3 weeks ago, every word. Dad calling me useless, Carla saying I think they still want me around, Ethan comparing me to a stray begging for affection, Marcus mocking my job as menial. Their reactions were immediate and revealing. Ethan said I'd misinterpreted it. Carla said I was taking it out of context. Marcus said they were just venting because they're concerned about me. Dad said families sometimes say things they don't mean when they're worried. Not one apologized or admitted their words were hurtful. Instead, they doubled down. Dad said they only discuss me because they want what's best. Ethan said if I were more open to their advice, they wouldn't need to talk about me privately. Carla said the real issue was me eavesdropping and getting offended by conversations not meant for me. Then it got uglier. Dad said my reaction was exactly the oversensitivity they were talking about, that I was proving their point by being upset instead of taking their feedback to improve. Ethan said I was playing the victim when they were trying to help me grow. Marcus said I should focus on their intentions, not their words. Carla said I needed thicker skin if I wanted to be part of a family honest enough to tell me the truth. I realized they genuinely believe they're the victims here. In their minds, I'm causing trouble by refusing to accept their treatment. My response to their cruelty is the issue, not the cruelty itself. So I asked them a simple question. If they truly think I'm useless and a failure, why do they want me around? Why invite me to dinners and parties if I'm such a letdown? The silence was heavy. Dad finally said that's not what they meant, that I was twisting their words. But Ethan answered honestly for once. He said they want me around because family is family, and that doesn't mean they have to approve of my choices. Carla added that they love me despite my shortcomings, so they discuss those shortcomings to figure out how to help me. Marcus said they're not giving up on me, even if I'm giving up on myself. That's when I saw the full picture. In their eyes, I'm their charity case, their project. They keep me around because it makes them feel good about being caring family members, but they don't respect me as a person. They love the idea of fixing their flawed relative, not me as an individual. I told them I didn't need their help or pity, that I have my own life, job, apartment, and friends, that I was doing fine before I learned how they truly see me. Dad said that was the kind of arrogance holding me back. Ethan said I was too stubborn to accept guidance from those who know better. Carla said I was defensive instead of grateful for their involvement. So I asked another question. What exactly should I be grateful for? What had they done for me lately besides criticize my choices and mock me behind my back? That's when things turned nasty. Dad listed all the times they'd included me in family events, dinners, parties, like letting me attend was a favor. Ethan mentioned the times I'd watched his kids, but framed it as him giving me family time, not me helping him. Carla brought up all the advice she'd given me about relationships and careers. Marcus mentioned how they'd always been there for me, but when I asked for one specific example of their support, none of them could name one. Yet they could easily recall all the times I'd helped them. Moving furniture, babysitting, lending money, fixing tech issues, driving them places. In their narrative, my help was just what I was supposed to do as the family member with no better plans. I told them I was done. Done with dinners where they mock my choices. Done being available whenever they need something. Done pretending their criticism is love when it's contempt. Dad said I was making a mistake I'd regret forever. Ethan said I was burning bridges over nothing, that families are supposed to be honest. Carla said I was being dramatic and would come crawling back when I realized I needed them. Marcus said they weren't giving up on me, even if I was giving up on them. That hit me because it perfectly captured their mindset. Me setting boundaries with people who disrespect me is giving up on them. Me rejecting their treatment is the problem, not their actions. I got up to leave, and Dad asked where I thought I was going. I said I was going home to the life I'd built without their help. Ethan said we weren't done talking. I said we absolutely were. As I headed to the door, Mom finally spoke, saying she hoped I'd reconsider, that family is all you have in the end. I looked at her and said maybe some families, but not this one. Driving home, I expected to feel sad or guilty, like I'd made a huge mistake. But I just felt relieved, like I'd shed a burden I didn't know I was carrying. Since then, my phone's been flooded with group texts about family events I'm not answering, individual messages trying different tactics to pull me back. Ethan sent a long text about how families fight, but don't stop being family. Carla left a voicemail saying she understood I was hurt, but shouldn't let pride keep me from those who love me. Marcus texted asking to meet for coffee to talk. Dad called twice, leaving a message saying he wanted to explain things better, that maybe they hadn't expressed their concerns well. They still don't get it. They think this is about hurt feelings that will fade. They think the right words will bring me back to normal. They can't grasp that normal was the problem. Yesterday, Ethan showed up at my workplace, asking the receptionist to call me down. He wanted to talk one-on-one, saying maybe we could sort things out just between us. I said there was nothing to sort out, that I'd heard how he really feels and was done pretending it didn't matter. He said he didn't mean to hurt me, that brothers say dumb things when frustrated. Then he started again about how they're just trying to help me have a better life. Same script, new setting. I told him my life was fine and I didn't need his help. He said I was stubborn and would regret cutting off family. I said my family cut me off the day they decided I was their failure project instead of their equal. He left frustrated. I felt bad for a moment, then remembered their words and felt fine again. The strange part is how much mental space this has freed up. I didn't realize how much energy I was spending managing their expectations, censoring myself to avoid giving them more to criticize. Now I come home and think about what I want to do, not whether I owe anyone a call or need to show up somewhere. It's been 3 weeks since I've attended a family dinner, and I don't miss it. I've been reflecting on why they treat me this way, and I think it's about control and superiority. As long as I'm the family failure, they feel better about their own choices. As long as I need their guidance, they feel wise and helpful. My independence threatens that dynamic. That's why they can't let me go. It's not about love, but about maintaining their roles as the successful ones who tolerate their disappointing relative. I'm not playing that role anymore. I'm done being their project, their cautionary tale, their source of self-righteousness. They can find someone else to look down on. Tomorrow is Mom's birthday, and I'm sure I'll get calls and texts about missing it. I've decided not to go. I'm taking myself out to dinner instead, somewhere I want to be with people who value me. I'll update if anything significant happens, but I think the story's mostly done. They showed me who they are, and I believe them. Now I'm building a life without them in it. Final update: it's been about 2 months since I overheard that conversation in the garage, and I figured I'd close this out for anyone following along. I'm in a completely different place now than when I first shared this. Mom's birthday came and went. I didn't attend, as planned. Instead, I treated myself to dinner at a nice steakhouse downtown I'd been wanting to try. I sat at the bar, had a great meal, talked sports with the bartender, and enjoyed myself more than I had at any family event in years. My phone buzzed all night with texts and calls asking where I was, saying Mom was disappointed, asking if I was really skipping her birthday over this. Dad left a voicemail saying they'd save me cake and I could still stop by later. The guilt trip was heavy, but I reminded myself they'd had countless chances to treat me with respect and chose not to. Missing one birthday wasn't going to hurt anyone, and I wasn't going to act like nothing happened just to ease their discomfort. The next week, things intensified. Ethan showed up at my apartment with Carla. They said they'd been talking and wanted to try a new approach. Ethan apologized for some of what he'd said, saying he could see how I might have misunderstood. Carla said she'd reflected, and maybe they hadn't been as supportive as they could have been. She said families have tough times, but cutting each other off isn't the answer. I appreciated them acknowledging something, but their apologies felt empty. Ethan was sorry I took it the wrong way, not for saying it. Carla thought they hadn't been supportive enough, not that they'd been cruel. I told them I valued their effort, but some things can't be fixed with apologies. Calling someone useless isn't a misunderstanding, it's what you think. Ethan said he was frustrated when he said it, that it wasn't his true feelings. I asked him to explain the difference between what you say in frustration and what you believe. He couldn't answer. Carla kept steering back to family unity, saying we needed to work through this together. But I wasn't interested in working through anything with people who don't respect me. They left disappointed, and I haven't heard from them since, except for group texts about family events I've stopped responding to. But here's where it got really interesting. Last week, Marcus called, not to apologize or reconcile, but because he needed something. His computer crashed, losing important files, and he asked if I could help recover them. For context, I've fixed Marcus's tech issues countless times over the years, always saying yes because that's what family does. This time I said no, I wasn't available for that anymore. He was confused, said it would only take a few hours, that he really needed me. I told him to hire a professional. He got quiet, saying he understood I was mad at the family, but this was different, just a computer issue. I said it wasn't different at all, that I'd spent years being available whenever they needed me, only to be mocked behind my back. He said he was sorry for what was said, that he didn't mean it. I said that was nice, but it changed nothing. He kept trying, saying it was an emergency, that he needed work files, that he couldn't afford a professional. None of it worked because I wasn't punishing him, I just didn't care about his problems anymore. That call made me realize something. They'd grown so used to me being their fallback that they never developed other solutions. Marcus doesn't know how to manage his computer because I've always fixed it. Ethan doesn't have other babysitters because I was always there. Carla probably doesn't have anyone else to call for help. I'd enabled their reliance by always being available, always putting their needs first. And they repaid that by calling me pathetic for being there when they needed me. The irony is staggering. They mocked me for seeking their approval while depending on my help. 2 weeks ago, I ran into Ethan at the grocery store, the first time I'd seen any of them since the intervention. He looked uneasy but approached me, asking how I was, making small talk about work and weather. Then he mentioned his usual babysitter wasn't available and asked if I'd watch his kids soon, like nothing had happened. I said no, I was done babysitting. He asked if that was permanent or if I'd reconsider later. I said permanent. He was shocked, like he couldn't fathom me not being available. He started the family speech again about how families help each other, how I was being stubborn. I cut him off and said, "You showed me who you are and I'm done." He walked away and I felt a brief pang of guilt, then remembered their words and moved on. I've been reflecting on how much mental space this has freed up. I didn't realize how much I was carrying, trying to meet their expectations, avoiding their criticism, always being ready to help. Now I focus on what I want, not what they think I should be. It's been 2 months since I've attended a family event and I don't miss it. I'm building a life that's mine, surrounded by people who value me for who I am, not as a project to fix. They can keep their family dynamics. I'm out.